Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Ultimate Spider-Man issue 13 by Jonathan Hickman, Marco Checchetto and Matthew Wilson. Spider-Man begins a new adventure for the new year, but not one we thought it would be, as last we saw Peter, he and Harry had been kidnapped by Kraven. But when we pick up this issue, Spider-Man is back in New York doing heroic things across the city. Hickman does not leave us hanging very long, as the black suit Spider-Man isn't Peter, but his son Richard, who's been taken under the symbiote Peter's wing, and he is being taught how to become a hero. Now alarm bells immediately go off in my mind, since last time we saw the symbiote in the last issue, MJ had just figured out that it was posing as her husband. We left that issue on a rather foreboding manner, with it implied that the symbiote may have done something to MJ since she found out. Hickman doesn't even broach that story yet, instead focusing on how Richard has become a hero under the direction of the symbiote. And so what happened? Is MJ okay? Did the symbiote take over the family and is forcing Richard to do this? So many cool directions to go with this. Even Richard being Spider-Man isn't some giant reveal, you would expect it to be. You expect this to be maybe like a final page reveal or something, like you have the black suit Spider-Man and then it's revealed in the final page. But it just happens 2 pages in and it's just like, oh yeah, this is the Ultimate Universe. Shit's different here. It's going to be wildly different than what we're used to in the 616 universe. Just the casualness of it is great. Richard, despite being told he's doing good, doesn't seem to like that the symbiote is taking on his father's form, causing it to revert back to its black suit form. Now there's a really neat visual signpost here, since when it covers Peter's body in the suit, it has that pinkish fleshy interior that you would actually see on Venom, and you see him often have that when it peels back to reveal Eddie or Dylan or whoever's in the symbiote at that time. So it was a nice little visual to tell you that yeah, this is the ultimate Venom more or less. Richard asks the symbiote about his father being gone for almost 2 months now and about his mother. The symbiote just seems to kind of skirt some of these questions. He says that he won't ever touch or hurt MJ and he's there to protect the family though. And it's interesting that you still get these intense feelings of dread with the symbiote. Like what it's saying is, more or less heroic. Like it's saying it's going to protect this family because that's what Peter would want. But there's also that feeling like he's doing it against their will, almost like he's forcing them to allow him to protect them. It's a really interesting dynamic, and I'm really hoping that Hickman gets into that at least in the next issue, because I want to see like what that family dynamic at home is like between the symbiote and MJ and the kids. Hell, maybe I'm wrong and the suit is actually going to be good in this universe. Like maybe the symbiote doesn't actually turn evil. And again, there's like really early hints at like Secret Era War symbiote stuff where the suit was being helpful at the beginning, and it's like slowly over time does it begin to infect Peter, and then he was forced to separate himself from it. As Richard and the symbiote get back to work, we head deep below New York to the kingdom of the Mole Man, better known as the Savage Lands, where Kraven meets with Mole Man, who isn't too happy that Kraven has kidnapped Peter and Harry and kept them for himself instead of handing them over to the Kingpin. Kraven, however, is only interested in the hunt, getting excited at the thought of hunting these 2 heroes through the underground world. Hickman briefly explores the politics of Kingpin's crew here, since as villains, they are always double-crossing each other or trying to get a leg up on the other and trying to get more power than the other. And Kraven here is no different, having brought them to Mole Man's realm, so it looks like that he too is involved in his schemes. We haven't gotten much of the Sinister Six just yet, but the bits we have where it's clear that the only thing keeping them in line is Wilson is pretty neat, and it kind of mirrors what we've seen with the Makers Cabal over in the Ultimates, how they're just kind of aimless and barely holding on because they don't really have any actual leadership. Kraven's use of the Savage Lands is also made clear, as he doesn't just want to hunt the heroes, he wants all of the risks and rewards the land provides in order to keep the playing field even, saying that everything in there could kill him as well as the heroes. It's all like primal and savage, and he finds a simplicity to it all, as he sees it all as black and white. It's a kill or be killed world down there, which he finds the perfect atmosphere for his hunt. Despite thinking that he was safe to bring the heroes to the Savage Lands, Kraven is wrong, as Mysterio appears, revealing that he too knows of Kraven's plans to disobey Kingpin's orders and hunt the heroes himself. Mysterio is really living up to his moniker, as it's implied he just simply knew Kraven would do this and decided to involve himself. I really like how Hickman has, in only just a few panels, sold me on this version of Mysterio. He feels like a legit threat, and maybe one who isn't using just simple practical effects effects and illusions to, make it look like he has magic. Maybe he actually has some magical abilities or access to magic in this world. Mysterio reveals that he merely wishes to see this hunt take place, so Kraven takes him and Mole Man to see Harry and Peter, who are strapped to chairs around a banquet table for their last meal. Kraven's way of working is further explored as he isn't just hunting them, he's apparently drugged and sedated and interrogated them, so they have revealed all of their secrets and truths, meaning he knows all about Peter's family and whatever secrets Harry has been hiding from everyone, including us. While I don't think Kraven is one to target the hero's loved ones right off the bat, I love the idea that he could use that to throw them off balance in the hunt. It kind of gives him an advantage over them, and while he thinks he's doing some noble fair thing by setting it in the Savage Lands, there's like an equal playing field, this feels like it's one of those things like where you see one of those rich guys hunting lions and rhinos where they're not actually hunting them, the animal is like drugged or wounded so they can just make the kill easier for these rich idiots. And this is exactly what it feels like, where he's got something that, like, should the hunt get a little bit too hard for them, he can kind of like apply this pressure and weaken the heroes and make it easier for himself. Kraven reveals that while all the drugging and sedating was okay at first, he found the real way to get the heroes involved was with bomb collars. But not only that, he reveals that he knows exactly who these men are, having discovered the Goblin is Harry Osborn and Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Like I said before, he knows all about MJ and the kids and Uncle Ben and the paper and all of that sort of stuff. And his idea behind the hunt is to have Peter and Harry reveal their true selves to him as well as each other. Surprisingly, Kraven does threaten Peter's family, something I didn't think he would do at least right away, telling the hero that if he doesn't participate in the game, he will kill his family. Harry agrees to join the game, and while Peter doesn't say anything, it's very clear that he will as well. So Kraven gets the hunt underway, dumping the heroes down through a trapdoor and into the Savage Lands. Right away, Kraven begins really fucking with them, revealing that they won't fall to their deaths thanks to parachutes as well as Peter's natural abilities as a spider to land, be able to catch Harry before he falls to his death. And on top of that, he reveals the bomb collars are fake, being used to scare the heroes a little bit more and kind of feed off their fear. More of Harry and Peter's fantastic dynamic is put on page here as well. Peter wants to just evade and escape, planning to just try and find the edge of the Savage Lands and try and find a way out. Harry actually wants to do the opposite and wants to actually actively look for Kraven and kill him. And I really like that in this moment, he doesn't see Peter as like a friend or like a partner. He sees him as a tool, where he knows that Peter has powers. He doesn't, because he doesn't have his suit. So he wants to use Peter to kill Kraven. He wants Peter to stick around so he can do that. And I quite like that. I like this idea that, like, the minute things start to get tough, Harry kind of shuts down all emotion and goes into like this, this mode where he just sees things as like objects to be used in his war against this crime. And Peter is one of those objects. He wants to use him to do what he sees as good by killing this man. It's thoroughly interesting, and unfortunately we don't get to spend a lot of time on it because heroes are actually attacked by a raptor. And thanks to Peter's powers, he's forced to intervene and actually kill the raptor. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the other raptors that suddenly turn up after Peter kills the first one are going to help Harry and Peter, and I could see them like Peter beat down their leader, so now they see him as the new leader and they help them against Kraven. And it would be really interesting, since before Kraven talked about how the lands are primal and savage, black and white, it was kind of implied that like nothing there could be changed, and it was very binary. And I like the idea that Peter and Harry have come in and have changed it. Like, they've been able to like quote unquote tame these raptors and get their help against Kraven, and it kind of nicely mirrors like them also being heroes in this world where they weren't supposed to be heroes, and now that they are heroes, things are starting to change for the better, and they're actually fighting against this evil that had taken over their world. It's really interesting, and it's just a fun theory I have. I don't know if that's actually going to be happening, but it feels like something that would happen in the Ultimate Universe. Spider-Man and the Green Goblin team up with raptors. That's some cool shit, and that should happen in the Ultimate Universe. Back in New York, Richard and the symbiote continue to act as Spider-Man when suddenly they're attacked by Felicia Hardy, thanks to her father being crippled by Harry, has taken up the mantle of the Black Cat and is after both Spider-Man and the Goblin for revenge. Now this is something I did not expect, that Richard would be getting his own villains to fight, and he's also kind of reaping the mistakes his father and Harry sowed as well. I'm sure this is also going to be used as like a test for the symbiote as well, because I imagine the symbiote will try and maybe kill Felicia or like gravely wound her, especially because in the dialogue for this scene, Richard talks about like a simple mugger, and the way the symbiote talks about him, it's implied that like maybe he beat him to death, or like beat him, so badly he's not going to do it again. So like he's a little bit more violent than Spider-Man usually is, and that would again make sense with this symbiote eventually becoming a bad guy. Ultimate Spider-Man issue 13 threw so much at us all at once, but never did it once feel overwhelming or its plots getting cut to shit because of it. It never felt like a plot was suffering. I love getting to explore Kraven's character and how he operates in setting up a hunt, but Richard being revealed to be standing in for Peter as Spider-Man was probably my favorite story covered. It's completely new territory, and the symbiote's rather dubious position in the Parker family really adds a sense of tension and dread to an otherwise simple mentor-mentee storyline. I can't wait to see what Hickman does with their story and with the symbiote. It's totally new territory, as I said, and I'm all for it. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.